Alright, so the Spring 2024 season has basically ended. There's only one show that actually hasn't finished yet, which is Whispers Me a Love Song, but if you've been keeping up with the news, that production has been a disaster, and it's basically an indefinite hiatus, and I'm not going to be waiting on those last 2 episodes. Though, thankfully, I actually did wait on the latest one that we've gotten, and it did actually change this tier list a little bit, so that's, I guess, a good thing. I haven't actually finished the last episode of Ranger Reject yet, but I don't know if that would change a lot of the takes here. It could, but I don't know. But I'm still gonna make this video because we are already into like about a few days in the summer 2024 season, and I am a bit busy this month, so I decided we'll just get this one out anyway. We are going to be doing quite a different thing here, and that's the fact that we're only going to be ranking the new characters, and that's because, I mean, if you've noticed with the previous rankings, we usually have a lot of top-heavy kind of rankings, where it's like a bunch of Freyren characters or a bunch of like Jujutsu Kaisen ones, and usually the new ones don't really get the time to shine, and I wasn't really a fan of that, so I decided we're only going to really go through the original stuff. Like, if we want to talk about the sequels, we'll talk a little bit about them. We'll give a brief kind of opinion on what I thought and what it was like, but other than that, we're probably not going to go too much into it. We will count like certain characters that are, you know, from a sequel series, but their introduction was from that series. So for example, Mio from Date A Live, she basically is a season 5 character, and that's from this season, so she would be eligible for this list. And I know that she potentially, from what I remember, she did show up a bit in season 4, but she basically is like kind of like a tidbit thing and a bit of a foreshadowing, so she wasn't really a focus there, so I kind of think it's okay because like 95% of her introduction is basically season 5. So enough yapping, enough all about that. Let's just get on with this video, and if this is your first time watching this type of video with me, these are all unscripted and, you know, a lot of rambling and just kind of like off the top of my head and all this discussion. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. So number 15 is going to be Aki Mizuguchi from Whispers Me a Love Song. So we're also going to only allow 2 characters per series. I don't really want to have like, you know, 10 from the same series or any type of shit like the Freyren, where it was like top 3 Freyren or some shit, I don't remember. But anyways, Aki Mizuguchi, I think she's honestly a really entertaining character. I really like her kind of interactions with the main girl, which for some reason I'm forgetting the name of. But yeah, and I also really enjoy kind of just seeing what we can get with her relationship with Sheho, the blue-haired girl, and just seeing overall how there's a bit more to her with how she's like, and overall she's just a ton of fun. I really like her. She's one of my favorites in the series, and overall really good. Not a lot for me to say, but as I always say, you know, just because you can't see a bunch about a certain character or show doesn't really make it any, you know, better or worse. It really just depends on what that thing is itself. Again, quality over quantity. Anyways, next up, it is going to be Adachi no Oto. And before I just like end off at like the Whispers Me a Love Song ranking on Aki Mizuguchi, overall the show was pretty good. Early on I felt like it was a bit kind of meh, but over time with the focus on Himari and her kind of, you know, the way they handled her kind of relationship with the main girl, and seeing how, you know, she kind of come to terms with like her feelings and whatnot, I really enjoyed that. It's actually really entertaining to me. But yeah, so let's move on. Next ranking would be Oto. Oto herself, I can't really say a lot about, but I really enjoy kind of just following her throughout the story and seeing her kind of relationships with the other characters, and overall just her personality. She's pretty entertaining to watch. I actually did think I would like Ren more, but she was basically the central focus of the story, where you would just kind of like meet her and kind of see how things are with her. And I guess technically it is also Sumireko because she's usually involved in the kind of situations that happen. But a lot of times I do find Oto to be more entertaining. But aside from that, this story overall was good. It had a very good hook at the beginning with establishing how Sumireko is and her kind of character, I guess, on how she wants to be a novelist, and seeing as how she was desperate to stay being young because, you know, how she thought that people would only kind of be interested in her books if she was a young novelist and whatnot. It was actually really good. I really enjoyed a lot of the different kind of stories we get, like the VTuber incident. We get the Shizuku and how we get to know about the one kind of like supernatural element of the I don't know, I forgot kind of like the character or something, or the actual situation, but it was that one thing where you can't like open the door and like, if like somebody's knocking outside and it's raining because they would kill you, and then we see more about that and how like Shizuko's friend got basically trapped and got replaced as that, and then how Shizuko was trying to offer herself to be that instead of her friend. And it's a pretty good scene. I really like that part, those type of things. And seeing how, seeing Sumireko go on these different hijinks and being, for example, posing as a high schooler so that she would find out what happened with the school and how they have the curiosity there. Seeing how they figure out, I think it's Uname, like the teacher from school, and seeing her story as well. It's really fun, but I do not like the ending at all. The ending was really bad to me, honestly, because let's break it down a little bit. So with the ending, we do get the revelation that Ren Adashino was like a curiosity that wasn't actually her, her brother, but he was, his goal was to try to bring her back to where she was from. And we see that he, offers himself as a ticket to sacrifice himself so that she would be able to go there, that she would have enough energy, or the train would be able to go there. And that's all well and done, but the way they do it, it ends very quickly. And I feel like the scene didn't it kind of just rushed it to, it didn't really simmer, it didn't really you couldn't really feel it. And when you get the scene with Sumireko and she goes to the librarian where she was, before, how she got the big interest with books, and then you see that she finds that one thing, and then you see the kind of the aura come out, the little kind of thing that comes out, and then she sees Adashino suddenly come back, and then you're supposed to kind of get that a little moment that they get, but then she makes that one joke about not wanting to have a path with him or whatever, and then he kind of is like, what, and then series ends, and it's like, what, that's it. It's just such an abrupt kind of thing, and it just leaves such a sour taste in my mouth. And then you go look at the end credits, and he's back all of a sudden, and it's just what was the point of all that if they're just gonna do that, So that really hurt the series for me. But from what I know, it's anime original, so who knows? Maybe the manga does it better, because I don't think the manga's over. But yeah, let's go for our next character. It's going to be, if I can find her, Akira from Train to the World. I guess I'll try to not talk too much of these series because I don't want to waste, I don't want this video to be an hour long. But Akira is also just a ton of fun. She's not a type of character I would have a lot to say about, but you really just, you just watch the series and you see she's fun to watch for me. I kind of enjoy her interaction with the cast. Main four are fun. This story gives you a lot of, I guess it's very reminiscent of School Life. If you've seen that one, I can't really tell you anything about what that's about because you just gotta watch the first episode and then you can see the rest. That's all I'm gonna say. But it's really interesting because I really like the ending for this one. And in contrast to what I said about Mysterious Experiences, where this one I really like how the ending doesn't close everything. It's not like everything is fixed now that they you push the button and now everybody's back. No, there's actually still some consequences from 7G where some characters and some people still have animal heads, and they have human bodies but some animal heads. And Zenjiro, the guy that's the train guy, he still has this issue where he goes back into his the old brain rot itself where he can't do anything. There's a lot of these kind of things, and maybe it leaves you wondering, maybe we'll get to season 2, maybe a little aftermath situation, who knows. But overall, it's really interesting. I like the relationship with Shizuru and Yoka. You get more of the, over time you see how they're what happened and why things are the way they are. The finale is good, it's pretty good overall. And yeah, thumbs up. Akira is really good as well. But, this is a series more about the story itself and the actual characters, but that's not to say that they aren't good. So, next character is going to be Togame, or Joe, whatever it was called, in Windbreakers. I did actually mention a bit about him in the short I made about a month ago when the show was at 7 or 8 episodes. I don't really remember, but I was really interested in how him and Tomiyama, I believe his name is, from Shishi Torin, and I was looking forward to what they would do with him because they were honestly way more interesting than Bofred. But that's not to say that Bofred wasn't that compelling, because I really enjoy Oemi and how he's and what he stands for. It's very compelling to me, and I was really surprised to see what they did with Togami, seeing as essentially he's kind of playing an act so that Tomiyama doesn't go around beating the shit out of people, and he just takes that role for him. So that's why we see how he literally beats the shit out of those two dudes that basically were belittling some other people and just kind of beating the shit out of them. And he just kind of demolishes them, stops the fight with Hibiki and then goes back and beats them and comes back. And his fight with Hibiki is honestly my favorite episode because it's just everything in the animation, from the storytelling with the backstory, just seeing how it intertwines and contrasts, that Tomiyama is essentially what Sakura shouldn't be like. If he's isolated thinking that he must be strong, then you see that, he could be like this. And you see how Omemiya and his philosophies and just how he doesn't want to just be like at the top by himself, and how others have got him there, and how he wants to give back to people. He wants to be someone that people can relate to. And just his aura and how he's like, his charisma, he's just, honestly, you just cannot not like, Omemiya. And I think that really does add a lot to the story, as seeing how Sakura could be moved by that and might want to be more like that, as we know how in the beginning Sakura was more isolated and didn't really care about befriending others. And so honestly, I think it's really good. And the fact that we got a season 2 announcements, I am really, really looking forward to Windbreaker overall. Honestly, even talking about Omemiya, I'm considering even putting him in this list. Like, we might even do like a live change in this list and add Omemiya here, but we'll see. For now, let's move on to the top 10 soon. So number 11 on this list is actually going to be Sheho from Whispers Me a Love Song. So if not for the latest episode that I watched, she would not make it here. But I really do enjoy what we got in the latest episode, her backstory and why she is the way she is. We get more context that the way she acts and the why she's so harsh and being part of the band, and why she has such high standard is because she wants to live up to the expectations of that one friend she had, because of how she ended up dying. And it's just like very compelling with her, and you see her relationship with Aki and why she kind of just took away Himari and basically got her to be their manager for the time being for this contest. And seeing as how she her personality was formed and seeing the different relationships, she's honestly the best character to me. She's very compelling as a character and very entertaining as well. And yeah, overall very good. And yeah, that's the honorable mentions for now, and let's move on to number 10. Number 10 is going to be Hobinyo from Viral Hit. I've been gassing this show up a lot to my friends and all this type of stuff. I haven't made a short on this. I was gonna, but I got busier with the JK video on the release and whatnot. So Viral Hit is honestly so much fun because it's just literally a shonen based around the YouTubers duking it the fuck out. Like, this guy just wants to make it big and make enough money to pay off the amount of money needed so that his mother would get the required surgery and be able to move and finally come back home. And you see that this world over there is filled with scumbags, and you gotta see this underdog story where Hobinyo goes from the top, and he gets these other characters. There's this weird thing where they say the Japanese version of the names, but sometimes say this Korean version. I'm just gonna say the fucking Japanese ones for some of them because that's the one they say in the actual voices. But just bear with me for a sec here. But like Snapper or whatever his name is, like the blonde guy, and the main girl, he has these other characters, and they're a ton of fun, honestly. Like, they have this nice little kind of trio group dynamic. And my thing that I really like about this story is that it doesn't really get stale, and there's actual consequences and kind of, I don't want to say there's realism in the way that the story follows Hobinyo, and it's the fact that he trains with that one video guy with the chicken head, and he manages to fight and beat Pakko because he was the bully at the start. And you see that it's not after that he just becomes OP and everyone loves him and stuff. I mean, he does end up having a girl that's potentially his love interest, Bomi or whatever, the one that works at the fast food restaurant. And you see that the bully that he beat up ends up coming back and humiliating him because he just did that one simple attack and basically managed to defeat him, and that comes back to bite him. And I really enjoy that type of stuff because it adds more kind of weight and some compelling nature to the story. And you see that the other I forgot his name, but the childhood friend of the girl that he likes essentially helps him out. And then over time you get different kind of fights. So after Pakko and how they destroy his entire presence, he's completely gone. Then you move on to, I think after that it was the Taekwondo master. And I really like that fight because now instead of Pakko you get a professional fighter. And now you see how the fuck is he gonna beat him, and now he tries to learn different fights and different techniques from that one guy. But he's just a normal guy, so he literally cannot beat him, right? So he does different kind of techniques, such as going to the bathroom and just flooding it so that he wouldn't be able to use his deadly kicks. And how he beats him, where it's just use the handlebar kind of tactic he's been learning, and just choke him with his fucking legs. It's just shit like that it's just it makes a lot of sense because he's just a normal guy. He's not gonna be able to fucking kick his ass or anything like that. And you see that one at the finale with the fat dude that was stalking the girl he likes, And overall, at the end of the day, he wasn't really an awful guy. Like, they ended up having a misunderstanding, and the guy just wants to have a girlfriend and whatnot. And, overall, it's good. I would definitely recommend you watch this. It's a ton of fun to me. It's one of my favorites of the season. So let's stop about that. We want to go through the other characters. So next up, we're going to be talking about Momoko from Girls Band Cry. I think that's the one after. Yeah. Okay. So after that's Girls Band Cry, Momoko. This is honestly my favorite show this season. There's a lot to love about this story. Every character in this has the compelling nature to them and the whole group dynamic. In Momoko, in Nina, in Subaru, and all these other characters. Subaru would actually be on this list, but we did the rule that we only add 2 characters, and you probably can predict who's like somewhere high on this list. Who it is. But I really enjoy Momoko's story, and we see how essentially she kind of is a broken character in a way, because her dreams kind of got shattered as she was so optimistic in high school and how she thought they could go big, but over time she realizes that it might not be like realistic, and you see how many times she tries to give up. I plan on eventually making a video on the series, but I don't know when exactly, but I do have like a thumbnail ready for it, and I could just start writing a script for this and making a video, because I do think it deserves a video. I would say back like a few weeks ago it was underrated. I'm seeing a lot more talk on it now, which is good, but yeah, there's a lot of great kind of chemistry with the group. You see how Momoko bounces off of Nina and how Nina's like. We'll talk more about Nina later. And yeah, overall, it's a really great show. I would definitely recommend you to watch this one. It's very similar to the way Bochi's like, but not quite. So yeah, let's just move on to the next character. Overall, she's of course fun to watch, and I really like her design. So next character is going to be, if I can find him, yeah. So Sosuke Kabayura here, which is one of the main characters of Asala Bolo Eccentrics. I did drop a little community post after the show ended, and I do really enjoy his character and overall the series that he's from. And the main highlight to me from Asala Bolo Eccentrics is the father-daughter dynamic that he and that Sara have. Because it's just like such an endearing and awesome kind of relationship to see. Just seeing them kind of just interact normally, and seeing, the way that they are. Like the chemistry they have is just so entertaining. You see how, Sara is a ball of energy that's just, likes to just have a great time. For example, they're just kind of like fucking around, messing around, as sometimes, Sosuke might get her on his detective jobs. Just a bunch of fun moments overall with the two. Even some sweet, nice moments we get from here and there. Overall, it's just like great, especially the graduation scene where you see how she basically has the entire school under her and shit like that. And as we see in the, I don't know what episode it was, but when he adopts her officially, I really like that. It's honestly very refreshing. You don't see that often in series like this. A lot of times it does go in a different direction. And yeah, it's great, but if I do have a complaint with the series, is the fact that the Levia section is kind of a bit redundant over time. The whole shtick of her kind of just getting fucked over a lot, and I don't really think her story is like all too strong, honestly. And also, I forgot to say one thing about Viral Hit, just kind of like to backtrack a little bit, but a complaint I have for that one too is I feel like it's a bit unrealistic to see that with all the craziness that goes around in their school, there's not a single teacher that doesn't realize what's happening, and no police are involved with the extreme levels that they dealt to. But I don't want to go too much in detail there because I don't want this video to go for too long. If we do, we'd have to make a full video. That's kind of my rule there, right? So next up, I'm gonna rank 6 and 7 together, and that probably makes it like obvious for you guys if you've seen the show, but it's going to be the grandma and grandpa for the show. Grandpa turns young again. So, this show is a very simple show. There's not a lot to like go into and discuss, but I think its simplicity is what makes it such an amazing show to me. Just seeing how these two kind of like work as soulmates with each other, and seeing just how they interact with a bunch of their families, their daughters, their great-granddaughters. And I mean, I said great-granddaughters, just their granddaughters. And just, seeing how the whole kind of like family dynamic is like, them just kind of messing around, kind of like the comedy in it, where it's like, they're old, very old, and you see how it's kind of interacted with the modern era. And just seeing how cool they are as grandparents, the other kids, for example, Mino, and then you see the other kind of like side romance development in her and the other guy, and how they kind of cheer for it. And I love scenes where you see the grandpa, he offers half of his life to the grandma, just because he doesn't want her to die before him. He wants both of them to die together at the same time. And you could say it's like a show that maybe you could argue is like kind of like wish fulfillment, like it's perfect in its way, where essentially like at the end they both die together in their arms and stuff. Like it might be a bit unrealistic to it, but I think it's very entertaining and charming. Like it is one of my favorites as well from this season. Like there's a lot of shows this season I really enjoyed, and this one was just like one of them. Like you can't really say so much on it, but that simplicity is what makes it great. And I really love the theme of just seeing how just the theme of just kind of like time passes. Like the generations change. Even at the end, you see Mino and the others, like that even ends up they get the golden apple again, and they try to get it, I guess, and maybe the whole thing, and they go back young and all that type of stuff. But yeah, they are very good. So now we're in the top 5 section. See, I'm also gonna rank these two together. I'm also gonna rank Fighter D, and I'm also gonna put Suzukiri here if I can just get it. Okay, so you might see this and you might be like, okay, so I must have this show very high up for me, like it's one of my favorites this season. I would not actually say the same case here, because it was the case at the beginning. I really enjoyed the premise this has, where it was a story of focusing on the the villain side in a way, and it was more of a revenge story, seeing how Fighter D was kind of climbing to the top. And I feel like after the switch, the switching from, when Fighter D becomes Hibiki and infiltrates the Rangers, I feel like the story did get a bit weaker for me, specifically. It's not like anything specific, but it did feel a bit weaker to me. Maybe, like, I don't know, like, I can explain it much, but I did love just, like, for example, the Hibiki switch. It was an amazing scene. And Fighter D is a ton of fun. I love just seeing how he's just like this underdog, and just seeing these different methods of fighting, like when he breaks the fourth wall, and kind of like that one guy that was just kind of going over his backstory, he just kind of runs the fuck away, because like who cares about his backstory, right? But like it's just shit like that really makes me appreciate it. I could like maybe go through the manga, maybe I'll enjoy it more, but I don't like that whole thing of Fighter D like having like connections to their group, because you don't really get much of that experience or see that in the anime. I mean, they don't really interact like that much, other than just like competing in the exam. And I guess you could argue that he doesn't really have much in the first place. If you look at the beginning of the series, there's not really much of a connection to the fighters and whatnot. So I guess this is like enough for him to feel connected. But I don't know. I don't really think it's that great in that respect. Who knows? Like maybe the manga does it better. And if we go to Suzukiri, I really enjoy her, and I feel like as like I'm talking about this, I do feel like without her being around, it makes the show like less interesting to me, because she is like easily my favorite in the series, and she's holding that jester-like role where she's kind of just watching as things unfold and just kind of helps him sometimes, just because she wants to see this background character destroy the protagonist. And just kind of seeing how much her personality is like, it's just so interesting and compelling to me, and she's like stealing the show anytime she's on screen. And I'm very interested in how the Rangers are operating. I mean, you see how the Red Ranger is this kind of like sociopathic narcissist that doesn't really care about others, and he's just really wanting to make sure there's an audience for him to see that he's this hero, but he doesn't actually care about that. And we see that there's the other Rangers that they're not just like him, because I mean, we've seen in the past with the Blue Ranger and whatnot. But yeah, that is going to be my talk on Ranger Reject and these characters up here. And number 3 is going to be Sara. Now, I don't really have a lot in this slot to say, because what I would say about her is just what I said when I talked about Sosuke, but she is also really fun. I mean, she has very endearing moments of her just kind of like having those gimmicks with the manga when she reads Detective Conan and makes those fucking references, or she's just like having time in life. Like, it's just seeing just her interact, just being the way she's like. She's just great. She's a great character. Like, I don't know what else to say. There's not really a bunch for me to go into. Like, just seeing her kind of befriend others, kind of develop over time. That one friend she has, and then she goes to school. You see just how she's like. She's great overall. And let's go to number 2, and it's honestly going to be Nina from Girls Man Cry. I really enjoyed Nina. She's one of my favorites in this season, obviously, as you can see. But in general, I mean, she's like very high up on my like S tier and whatnot. If you've seen the Blacku tier list, you can see like how like that like kind of like system goes. But essentially, I really think the thing I appreciate most about her is how real she feels. I mean, she's so bipolar that like on one hand she could be like happy and chill and whatnot, and the other time she's just like screaming at her lungs, getting mad at Momoko like because of how the band is being handled and how she doesn't really care about Diamond Dust, and how Nina has this kind of like grudge over her friend because she's a singer Diamond Dust. And like there's so much to it that I feel like I needed this like dedicated video to like the series and like discuss her relationship with Momoko, her relationship with Subaru, and how all of it kind of ties into the theme that each of these characters are passionate about something, but like the world and the unfortunate circumstances are preventing them from it. Like for example, Momoko wanted to go professional, but the circumstances of the high school and just like overall not working out could cause her to just basically almost give up. In the beginning, we saw how she was about to give up, and we see Subaru wanting to pursue singing and whatnot and working with Momoko and Nina. But she's basically forced to be an actress because of her grandmother, or specifically, she wants to stick to it because it makes her grandmother happy. And I like, again, that part, because you see that Nina just wants her to tell the truth to her grandmother, and she keeps pushing that even though Subaru doesn't want to do that. And even when she prepares it, when she realizes what her grandmother says, all of a sudden, Nina just says, no, don't do that. Because like it's just like I like that type of stuff, because she's just very bipolar. She's switching around like emotions constantly. I mean, she's a teenager. A lot of teenagers do this type of shit, and I think it was really portrayed well in Nina. And she's just like the star of the show, and very fun to watch overall. Yeah, like Nina's just great. So let's go our number one right here. I mean, if you've seen the Blue Archive video, you know that I have this guy number one. I actually have him higher, by the way. Like the video I have him at, he was at like A+. I actually have him in S now, closer to SS, which is crazy because the character below him in Blue Archive is like B. Like that's insane. So I mean, why is he so high up? So he has just one scene in the series essentially in Blue Archive, and I'm not even that big on the series. I really made that video because I'm playing the game. I haven't played the third chapter in a while. I gotta get to that soon so I can make the next tier list. But it's this guy that Blacku is such an endearing and charismatic, like kind of an enigmatic character to me. Because in that one scene you get where he talks to Sensei and he tells, he tries to, tell him that he doesn't need to worry about Hoshino. We get like an idea and of an establishment that Blacku could be viewed as like a direct opposite to Sensei in the world of adults, because as you can see with Hoshino, the whole theme behind her character is how adults and how she feels about like them manipulating her and how she kind of feels about that. Because again, when you see what Blacku did, he basically tricked her and she became kind of a guinea pig for him. And with Blacku, and let's kind of like look at things and see how Sensei is like. So, in the world of kind of Sensei, he's the adult that wants to look after these students, make sure they're safe, make sure they're living their life normally, and he was willing to save Hoshino no matter what, right? But with Blacku, he's willing to manipulate them and take advantage of them so that he would be able to satisfy his curiosity, because he's a researcher and he wants to understand certain aspects of Hoshino that he's interested in. And we see that this is a very big contrast. I mean, you don't know Sensei's name, and just as you don't know Blacku's name, you don't even know exactly where he's from. And he's like playing this jester, middle-like figure where he is involved in what's going on, but he's not like really interested in Kaiser corporations themselves, but he's more so interested in just obtaining a Hoshino for his experiments. And he just tells Sensei, I mean, you can just relax, have the time of your life with the other students, and just forget about Hoshino, because he doesn't have an impact on Hoshino. He's not family. It doesn't make sense to Blacku on why it would matter. And he plays by the rules because in his mind, he saved her and them out of the debt, and that means she owes her life to him, which means that he can take advantage of that, and that's what his philosophy is like. And I find that very, very fascinating, and it just established him as such a mysterious character that I need to see more of in the series, and I know that he probably shows up again. And seeing as how he couldn't comprehend how Sensei is that willing to like go that far for Hoshino, he starts screaming like, why? Like, it doesn't make sense, because he's not comprehending emotion. He's not capable of that, it seems. That's what we get here. And I mean, again, that kind of adds more contrast between the two, as we see that Sensei is this like dedicated by emotion, and moving through that, you can see that this guy's moving through logic. Because logically, Sensei could be safe if he just left it, but like that's not right. That's not moral for that would be immoral for Sensei. So he goes through that. But the logical sense for Blacku, that's he doesn't really have that in him to me. But yeah, that's gonna wrap it up. So as you see here, our number 1 spot, Black Suit, Nina, then it's Sara, Suzukiri, then Fighter D, Grandpa and Grandma, and Sosuke. Then you got Momoka, and then Hobenyo, and then for honorable mentions we got Sheho, JoeGamingAxe, Akira, and then Oto and Aki. I am very tempted to move him here. I don't know if I'll do that. I don't know. But for now, we'll just say he's very close to it. He's a great character for sure. She was also almost there. She would have actually made it if not for her. But yeah. So that's gonna wrap up our video for today. We actually got to like 32 minutes or so. I don't know what the video count is for now. But let me know what you think. Look forward to more content in the future. We do have some shorts we're dropping because of the new season's out. So look forward to that. And there's going to be a new video, like a big script. I don't know when exactly, but look forward to that probably like throughout the month. And, like, I'm subscribed to all the good stuff. And I'll be catching you in the next one.